Imagine a world where everyone treats one another with dignity and respect, a world where, even in moments of conflict, people strive to do what is fair and just. It's a vision that feels almost out of reach, doesn't it? In the Bible, this ideal way of living is called doing righteousness. It's a way of life that uplifts communities and fosters harmony. But let's be real, how can we always know what the right thing to do is, especially in complicated situations? Jesus, like other Israelite teachers, believed the answer lies in wisdom, specifically, the wisdom of God found in ancient scriptures. This wisdom is woven into the Torah and the prophets, the foundational texts of Jewish faith. These writings, including the laws given to ancient Israel, were meant to guide people in living righteously. But here's something important: Jesus didn't view these laws as mere rules to follow blindly. Instead, he saw them as pathways to deeper understanding. By meditating on these laws, we can uncover timeless principles that help us navigate relationships and treat one another with fairness and respect, even today. Jesus unpacks this idea in the Sermon on the Mount. In this profound teaching, Jesus doesn't just recite commandments, he goes deeper. He starts by quoting a law and then reveals the wisdom beneath it, showing us how to apply it in a way that transforms our hearts and actions. Jesus begins with a topic that catches everyone's attention: murder. He says, "You have heard it said to the ancients, you shall not commit murder." He's quoting directly from the 10 Commandments here. Then he adds something surprising: "But I tell you, anyone who is angry with their brother or sister will be subject to judgment. And whoever insults their brother or sister will be answerable to the court." At first glance, this seems extreme. Is Jesus really equating anger or name-calling with murder? Let's unpack this. Murder is, without question, a grievous act. It's the ultimate way of devaluing someone's life. But Jesus wants us to see that anger and verbal abuse stem from the same root problem: a lack of respect for another person's inherent worth. Think about it. When we lose our temper and lash out with words, aren't we sending a message that the other person's feelings or existence matter less than our own frustration? It might not be as visible as murder, but it still damages relationships and communities. Jesus is challenging us to go beyond simply avoiding murder. He's asking us to examine our hearts. How do we respond when someone frustrates us? Do we let anger take over, or do we choose to value them as a fellow image of God? Next, Jesus addresses adultery. He says, "You have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you, anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery in their heart." At first, this might sound overly strict. Is Jesus saying it's wrong to notice someone's attractiveness? Not at all. The issue isn't attraction, it's objectification. Jesus is talking about the intentional, lingering gaze that reduces someone to an object for personal gratification. This kind of look goes beyond admiration. It's about taking something that doesn't belong to you, even if only in your mind. When we objectify others, we strip them of their God-given dignity. And let's not forget, it damages us too. It distorts our ability to form healthy, respectful relationships. To drive home the seriousness of this issue, Jesus uses hyperbole. If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Of course, he doesn't mean this literally. But his dramatic language underscores a vital truth: unchecked desires can wreak havoc on our lives and relationships. Jesus is inviting us to take a hard look at our habits and thought patterns. Are we honoring others with our thoughts and actions, or are we letting desires lead us down a destructive path? Now, let's turn to divorce, a deeply sensitive topic. Jesus says, "It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce." In Jesus' time, divorce laws heavily favored men. Only men could initiate a divorce, and they often did so for trivial reasons, leaving women vulnerable and marginalized. The Torah included one law about divorce, requiring men to follow proper procedures and have legitimate reasons. But what counted as legitimate was a subject of debate. Some scholars believed divorce was only justified in cases of adultery. Others argued it could be for any reason, even something as minor as dissatisfaction with the marriage. Jesus enters this debate with a clear stance: divorce should be limited to cases of sexual immorality. He says, anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her a victim of adultery. Why does Jesus frame it this way? He's holding men accountable for misusing divorce laws to oppress women. In a society where men held all the power in marriage, Jesus' teaching was revolutionary. it upheld the dignity of women and emphasized mutual respect in relationships. But this raises deeper questions. What about situations of neglect, abuse, or other violations of the marriage covenant? While Jesus doesn't address these issues directly here, his broader teachings remind us of the importance of justice and compassion in every situation. In these three examples, murder, adultery, and divorce, Jesus shows us that God's laws are about more than just external actions. They're about the attitudes and motivations that shape how we treat others. It's possible to follow the rules outwardly while still failing to honor others in our hearts. For Jesus, true righteousness goes deeper. It's about seeing every person as valuable, as a reflection of God's image. Imagine if we lived this way. What if every interaction, no matter how small, was guided by a genuine respect for others? How would that change our workplaces, families, and communities? These teachings from the Sermon on the Mount are just the beginning. Jesus' vision of righteousness isn't just about personal ethics, it's about transforming entire communities. As we close, take a moment to reflect. What would our world look like if we truly treated every person with the love and dignity they deserve? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your vision of a kinder, more compassionate world. And remember, even small acts of kindness can ripple outward and create incredible change. Let's start today. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.